In this part, we see Neo preparing herself for the festival, aiming to win in the kite competition. Later, we see that Hannah cannot find her two brothers in the festival. Meanwhile, people are enjoying the shows and the fireworks. In their room, Soji and Kimura are having a deep conversation about their life together. Soji notices how skilled his roommate is. He even wonders how do his hands that only have been used to hold blades to kill know how to paint. Suddenly, Hannah opens their door to inform them that her two brothers, Wazel and Badger, are missing. The next morning, the two roommates go to check out the place where the two siblings were last seen. On their way, they notice the kite competition where Neo is also playing and they wish her a good luck. Yuan is watching the girl when a clown called Duan approaches him and says he's happy to see him and he wants to celebrate their meeting after such a long time. Then he reveals that he wants to take his monster back. It turns out that Duan wants to take back Neo and join her to his company. At the end of the day, Soji and the samurai reports to Yuan that a number of children with remarkable appearances have disappeared in addition to the two siblings, and since they are from the mountain, no one cares about them. The main suspect in this case is the Duan company, and the rumor says they kidnap people and make them a part of their show as performers. The samurai recalls the past of his company and when it was a simple one performing with simple people, but at some point everything changed and their chief Duan became obsessed with a collective children who were different. As they talk, it turns out that Neo used to be a performer in this company, and Yuan brought her and decided to take care of her. Now Duan regrets letting her and he wants her at any cost. Somewhere else, we see Duan observing the two siblings. Then we see Neo entering his tent. He starts begging her to stay with him, so she makes him believe she's happy as long as this will be for money. After this, she goes to see the kids. There she drops a golden coin. The team does not know that the girl is the one who dropped the coin, and they consider it a clear revenge mission. So Yuan gathers them in a basement to talk about the plan. They know their target is the Duan company. Neo says she wants to go for him, making her leader suspects her. Soji and his roommate go first as a decoy and face Duan's freaks, who are ready to fight while the girl sneaks into the company. She finds Duan waiting for her because she promised to come and see him. She tricked him, making him believe she will rejoin his company as a performer, not knowing she's only good with making people bleed. The mission ends up by releasing the children, burning the company, and successfully erasing the target from the world. Back to their normal life, the owner of the bookshop called Kumira again to tell him that his drawings are outstanding and his hands are gifted from God. On his way back home with his friend, they get attacked by a group of bandits. After knocking them down, they confess that some people from the Nagasaki trade union are coming after the samurai man. Later, Yuan goes to visit the bad officer who informs him that some bad guys are coming after the samurai who killed Hirata. They also want to know about the missing product Hirata was investigating, which means they maybe were involved in whatever Mitsuman was doing, and why not the opium circulation in the town. And to get more details about this, they need someone with sharp ears to go and check things out. The team chooses Teppa to go to Nagasaki and see about why some people want the samurai so bad. On a table with an old man while having a cup of tea, Teppa brings up this topic, but everything changes, and the guards show their blades asking the man to leave. The doctor returns to his basement to report what he saw. The samurai decides to go and meets them because it's the fastest way to know the truth. Yuan stops him saying they have to check first if their opponent are open to discussing this reasonably. All his teammates said that it's too risky to go along, but the man does not care, saying he does not consider his own life precious after he killed his father-in-law and drove his fiancée to kill herself. He's a grown-up and he knows what he's doing, so they let him go along, but they send Neo after him. He enters their headquarters, making them in shock, not believing he came alone. Their leader Louis attacks him and knocks him down. The next time he opens his eyes, he was handcuffed. The leader questions him about some merchandise and threatens him. Before doing any horrible things, Louis gets a call from Shishido, one of the Nagasaki trade union members, so he leaves to be tortured by one of the guards while his teammates are outside trying to get to him. Soji manages sneaking into the basement where his roommate is detained and releases him after killing the guard. At night, the team gathers to talk about what the samurai understood from all this. He tells them that these people did not used to work with Matsumai, which means they're after revenge, but they want what Matsumai was hiding, an obscene amount of opium purchased by the chief financial officer of the town, and it is hidden somewhere in Nagasaki. Somewhere else, women are being poisoned with opium then used in prostitution. One of the women called Ichinojo met Saiko, a monk who lost his family in a pandemic and entered the temple as a result. The girl was forcibly poisoned, so she bites a gold coin, announcing the new mission. Team gathers up again in the same place to discuss about their next revenge mission. At the end of the meeting, Yuan gives orders to Soji to keep an eye on Kurima because when it comes to opium, that man tends to act by himself. Later, they go to finish their mission by killing all the priestesses who were involved in the opium matter. However, when it comes to Kurima to kill the last priestess, he gets interrupted by Liu, the master of folks who kidnapped him. The man intends to kill Samurai, but luckily he gets support from his friend Soji and Teppa, making the enemy flee away. Kuruma decides finally to pay the woman he drove her to death because she does not let him live peacefully. He reveals later to Yuan that he can't rest until the opium matter with all its hidden depth will be discovered. However, Yuan disagrees with his opinion, saying that following this path he will not have any reason to live afterwards setting this matter, and asks him to quit this job and start a career as a painter. The samurai later goes out for a walk and passes by a restaurant where he shares the table with a strange man who seems to be a priest. They start talking about life and death, and according to what the priest says, all humans are in a way or another killers. A samurai is a killer just like an innocent girl who buys flowers at a shop. It's a definition, it's not as complicated as people out there think. The discussion ends up by Kimura leaving the table drunk and angry. Somewhere else, in the same church, Yui receives orders to strike Lui down, because if nothing is done, Lui's people will obtain Matsumai's opium, which means the town will be under his control. The leader goes back to the basement to inform his teammates about the next target, Master Lui. Kuruma noticed that there are no bite marks on the coin, so Yun explains that it is a straight order to kill. Since revenge is not about the money, but the depth of the grudge beaten into it, they decide to investigate this matter before killing the target. They send Neo to the town to see if Lui is the kind of dirtbag that deserves to die, in spite of their knowledge that this person wants the opium so bad. It happens that Lui is not a fool and he discovers Neo's attentions. Kimura shows up to face him, but before he reveals the true reason behind wanting the opium so bad, he gets shot by a strange sniper. Kimura tries to save him, but another creepy guy called Yuparo appears from nowhere. It turns out that the weird priest who met Kimura in the restaurant is the one behind this. The samurai rushes with Lui to a safer place. On their way, they realize that they are after the same thing and they both want the opium to be burned and until no trace of it remains. A flashback shows Lui giving orders to some soldiers like people to eradicate opium from the whole empire. Later, he discovers that even his sister got addicted to it and died. Tepa explains to Neo and Soji that in the past, their empire had silk, tea, and proclaimed to sell the Englishmen, but the English had nothing to trade. This is why they started selling opium in exchange, and this is how it started spreading through the country like wildfire. The emperor tried to eradicate opium from within his borders, and Lui maybe is one of those who work for this reason. After Lui opens his eyes, the team convinces him to tell how he ended up there. It reveals that the English merchant tried to avoid being investigated for selling opium, so they've been hiding their supply in nearby ports. One of them is located in the city. However, someone in this town had an eye on this merchandise and they have to know who. After this, we see Soji and Neo complaining about how tough the work became. Meanwhile, Tepa focuses on knowing who shot Lui and who took Matsumai's opium. Yuan decides to go back to the chapel to know why they ordered him to kill Lui, and how can they still be protected after being exposed to the public. The priest and his servants head to Lui's headquarters and kill all the people in it. In addition to this, he gives orders to kill Lui himself. On the other side, Lui asks Kimura to take him home. On their way, they hear a big explosion. As the samurai went to check, an armed boy approaches to kill Lui. After a small fight between them, it is obvious that Lui will not make it. Luckily, the samurai arrives before it's too late. At the last minute, he asks Lui to buy the gold coin to allow him to take revenge from those who caused his death. Later, we got to know that the Nagasaki trade union, including the priest, are the ones keeping the opium, and they have been tricking Lui all the time. And now after killing him, they will sell the poison everywhere and turn Nagasaki into a stage for a grand opium dance. Sometimes, not all stories end in a good way. Evil also gets trophy. We have arrived to the end of our video. I hope you guys enjoyed this anime with us. Stay tuned for more. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Take care.